Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar says land is not enough and is promising to continue working with the Baptist community, including the building of a long-awaited secondary school. During her address at the Spiritual Baptist Thanksgiving service at the Maruga Multipurpose Youth and Sports Facility, she said the Baptist community helped shape who she is today. My response, PNM is now claiming that the Balize party has always been supporting the Baptist community. But to me, that's quite comical. They want to mention a little this and a little that they did during especially the past 10 years. It sounds like the bicycle and coal pot patriotic blessings, in my opinion, which we all became accustomed to under Emperor Rowley for the past 10 years. Crumbs, people. Crumbs, in other words, compared to what the UNC has done for those individuals. The United National Congress government, led by Prime Minister Basdio Pandey, granted the Shouter Baptists a public holiday in Trinidad and Tobago back in 1996. And PNM boast about that. The holiday celebrated on March 30th as Spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day commemorates the 1951 repeal of the 1917 Prohibition Ordinance that restricted their worship. The holiday was proclaimed in January 1996, with the first celebrated on March 30th, 1996. The Pandey administration also provided land for a primary school to the community. So when PNM want to be talking about and trying to encourage that community, that group of individuals, and religious community to shift to the PNM side, you haven't done anything near as much for them as the UNC. Don't go anywhere. More local, regional, and international news up next.
I did not inherit this faith by ancestry. Many of you did inherit it by ancestry. I was received into this faith by grace and by the grace of God. And that, my brothers and sisters, is something I will never take for granted. The Spiritual Baptist faith is a haven. It is a refuge, a place where a little Indian girl from Saparia, Penal, was received, transformed, and put on a pathway in service to people. I related a part of this story in Parliament on Friday. It's important we understand this. I said that I was baptized in the faith. I said I'm not only wearing these beautiful clothes because I like it, but because I was baptized in the faith. I tied my head from way back as a child. And then one on the other side stood up and said, hypocrite, I don't know Indian people that's been baptisting. Well, maybe you should come down here in Maruga Tableland today. Come and see and learn. Come and see and learn. I have never made it a secret. From way back when, I've always shared that story of a very important part of my life, which has made me partly what I am today, as all the other influences in my life have made me what I am today. And I say, I give praise and thanks to the Almighty. I say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And the ground will remember also, as Minister of Legal Affairs in 1996, I was instrumental in carrying out instruction of then Prime Minister Pandey to give lands to the Baptist community. You all remember that, some of you? And I did. As Legal Affairs Minister, I caused that to happen, and that land is still there now, with much more on the land. As Minister of Education under the Pandey government, I supported the establishment of a primary school. And then I was given an opportunity to be Prime Minister. And as Prime Minister, I delivered the St. Barbara's Spiritual Shouter Baptist Primary School and ECCE Center. Because you see, land alone is not enough. Land is important, but it is not enough. The pathway out of poverty, the passport to a better quality of life, you heard me say it all the time, is empowerment and dignity with education. And now God has brought me back into a position where I can once more continue on that pathway to deliver to this great community. Friday in Parliament, I announced that your UNC government will now establish your long-awaited secondary school. With the early childhood school, I did the primary school, and the secondary school is now needed. The ground really shows us what is possible in the legacy of the Cohen Hamilton Secondary School. Michelle, that's your school? Yes. Right, close by. That school was founded in 1962 by leaders of the faith of the Fifth Company Baptist Church as the first secondary school for rural Baptist communities. More than a school, it was an upliftment through education, built through sacrifice, built through organization and vision. That school produced generations of patriots, including your own Member of Parliament and Minister, Michelle Benjamin. And we will work together, my cabinet and I, and my MPs and senators, to create another Baptist secondary school. Because I've believed always, and I will say it until my very last breath, that the only way out of poverty is through education. I said it before, land is not enough. So as I close, we must invest in the minds of our children. When our children rise, the community rises. When the community rises, our nation rises. So in keeping with my thinking, we will talk to the Baptist community. We'll work it out and plan through consultation what we do, how we go forward with the secondary school. As I close, I remind you that I am of you and you are of me. My government stands with you here in Maruga Tableland and throughout our great nation. My government will always stand with the spiritual Baptist community. We are building together person by person, community by community, heart by heart, because TNT is too blessed to be broken. Your journey stands as a powerful lesson for our nation, a lesson in duty, a lesson in courage, a lesson in endurance, a testament to the sustaining power of faith. At a time of challenge, your example must guide us in faith, in service, in resilience, and in unity. So we stand here today. Let us hold fast to this truth. The ground remembers, and we must never, ever forget. And in that remembrance, we do as you have always done. We give thanks, we lift our voices, and we offer praise, and so let us sing. This is the day that the Lord has made. We rejoice and be glad in it. We will enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise, and will shout, rejoice, and give God the glory. May the good Lord continue to bless the spiritual Baptist faith. May the good Lord continue to bless the people of Maruga Tableland. May the good Lord continue to bless the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association head Reginald McLean believes the new A&R Robinson International Airport in Crown Point should be open as soon as possible. Of course, he's 100% correct. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine told Guardian Media last Thursday that the $1.2 billion airport should be fully operational by July or August. However, he said some stakeholders advocating for a spectacular opening to coincide with the annual Tobago Carnival scheduled for October 30th to November 1st. That's too late. Augustine said various concessionaires will be included to provide goods and services to complete the unique Tobago experience. Speaking with Guardian Media, aka Kakash Media, yesterday, McLean, who is also a board member of the Tobago Tourism Agency, said his information is that the airport will be opened in June. The airport is supposed to open to coincide with a Caribbean Airlines flight in June out of Canada. If that is still coming in with what you read in the news about Caribbean Airlines seeking a government bailout, we are hoping it opens in June as opposing to opening sometime before Carnival in Tobago. But as you know, with anything in this country, when it happens, we will believe it. I do hope as well that it opens sooner than later. Chairman of the National Commission for Self-Help, Vishnu Ramlakhan, is urging victims of fires in South Trinidad to seek assistance, noting that existing applications are being fast-tracked using grant funding made available by the government for support recovery efforts. His comments follow recent fires in Siparia, San Fernando, and Claxton Bay, which was suspected to have been maliciously set, leaving several families in distress. Ramlakhan said the NCSH currently has a $25 million allocation to assist citizens through a range of programs, including grants specifically designed to help disaster victims rebuild. I think we were talking about that very recently, especially when I was reporting about one of those cases. We have 3 types of grants, including emergency repair and reconstruction assistance for persons who would have suffered from disasters such as fire. He explained that the Commission continues to prioritize collaboration with communities to maximize support and ensure that those in need receive timely help. Under the UNC Kamla Persad-Bissessar administration, you were barely hearing about these things. Under the PNM, everything under the PNM was just making sacrifices for king and country, for emperor and country, because he was no longer acting just like a king. My opinion, Rowley was acting more like an emperor. People say, well, what is the difference? In my opinion, an emperor even rules more with an iron fist than even a king. Regional news up next.
Good day, Trinidad and Tobago. Here is your weather outlook for Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. We are looking at a classic mix of sun and localized showers across both islands tomorrow. Expect a bright start to the morning, but keep those umbrellas handy as daytime heating is likely to trigger some scattered showers across various communities by midday. The forecast breakdown. Conditions generally fair and sunny morning, becoming cloudy at times with a 45% chance of light to moderate showers. There is a slim possibility of an isolated heavy shower or thundershower favoring western areas of Trinidad during the afternoon. Temperatures, it's going to feel warm out there. We're looking at a high of 31 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 30 degrees Celsius in Tobago, with overnight lows dipping to a comfortable 23 degrees Celsius. Winds and seas, winds will remain moderate from the east-northeast. For our fisherfolk and sea bathers, seas are slight to moderate with waves up to 1.5 meters in open waters, generally good conditions, but watch for choppy seas near heavy showers. Air quality, sensitive groups should take note that a mild concentration of Saharan dust remains in the atmosphere, so keep those inhalers close if you're prone to respiratory issues.
The St. Andrew North Police Division remains the only one of Jamaica's 19 policing divisions without a murder since the start of the year. That is great news. You're talking about 3 months into the year. According to the latest crime statistics published by the Jamaica Constabulary Force on Sunday. Don't start boasting about it. I continue to pray that it remains that way for as long as possible. Up to March 28th, St. Andrew North, which is led by Superintendent Randy Sweeney, stood alone with 0 murders. Just a week ago, Kingston Central was also in that category. However, that changed following the killing of 30-year-old Damian Danger Henry. Here the alias Danger. What were you involved in that you were called Danger? Who was shot on Wednesday evening in an unofficial car park adjacent to the Kingston Public Hospital. Despite this, the broader picture shows a significant decline in violent crime. Data from the JCF indicate that murders are down 29%, with 130 killings recorded up to March 28th. This represents 54 fewer murders compared to the 184 recorded during the corresponding period in 2025. I do hope and pray, for the sake of Jamaicans, that those numbers continue to go down. But the only way to really address that, my dear Jamaican people, is to get rid of gang culture. Stop glorifying it in your media houses. Stop encouraging or giving awards to artists who glorify gang culture and murder and stuff like that. That needs to end, because people, those things encourage the youth. It instills into the minds of the youth that it's okay to follow that pathway. It's okay to be, as we call it here in Trinidad and Tobago, a zester and a baddest. It is not. Being a zest at the baddest leads to a very early grave. The United States ambassador to Guyana, Nicole Ferriot, has praised the Guyanese government's use of oil revenues to drive wide-ranging infrastructure development, describing the current leadership as acting in the best interest of the people, just like what UNC does here in Trinidad and Tobago. And also they are using that money, right, that revenue, in order to diversify. Guyana is investing in agriculture and tourism, not just in promoting the oil industry. Speaking on, or using the revenue out of the oil industry. Speaking on sources, a program hosted by journalist Svetlana Marshall, Ambassador Ferriot, said she has observed significant progress across the country, not only in the capital. I honestly believe that the current leadership of this country has the Guyanese people's interests at heart. She said, adding, I just look around at all of the infrastructure projects that are going on, and it's really important to note they are not just in Georgetown, throughout the entire country. I travel all around the country and I see it everywhere that I go. Ferriot noted that oil revenues are being channeled into critical infrastructure, arguing that the benefits extend to all Guyanese, including farmers, business owners, and ordinary citizens. Minister of Education Transformation in Barbados, Chad Blackman, marked the opening of a cosmetology lab at Lester Vaughan School on Monday, stressing the future success requires economies in small island states to retool and reposition skills through curriculum reform. I think that's a wonderful idea, because at the end of the day, not everybody is academically inclined. I believe that everyone should have their basic qualifications. Not everyone is going to end up with ones and twos and distinctions. And therefore, a lot of trade should be introduced in many of our schools, even here in Trinidad and Tobago. Being a hairdresser or getting into cosmetology, you make a lot of money, people. It's just that you have to really depend on a thriving economy. Because like here in Trinidad and Tobago, that's basically really has been suffering for the past 5 years, because Rowley decided to follow the entire world and lock down our country for over 2 years.
I think a lot of things must now come into full focus in building out a new transformation in this school, anchored by the overall national transformation of education that the ministry is undertaking, working with our schools, and in particular, in this instance, Lester Vaughan. Now, when you look, therefore, at what we're about to unveil with respect to the cosmetology lab, when you look at the global cosmetology industry, you're talking about a $700 billion industry, US dollars, with the expectation that by next year, 2027, it will increase to $900 billion. And the question for students today and also going forward is, how do you now position and reposition yourselves and our students to be able to tap into that global industry? Long gone are the days where it's only about doing hair and barbering, of course, and ensuring that people can get their hair done. But it's also about the business of cosmetology. And part of the transformation in education is how do we prepare our young people for the new skills that will be required, not just to operate in Barbados, not just to operate across the region, but for them to now navigate and to dominate a global space. There's no doubt that there's creativity in Barbados and our young people. And this morning, therefore, also represents part of the curriculum transformation of ensuring that we not just focus on the traditional academics, as it were, which we've all been accustomed to. But one of the things that I've always said, I remember when I worked at the ILO, there was a report which spoke very, very clearly about the fact that the skills of the future requires economies around the world, particularly those in small states, to now retool and reposition through curriculum reform. Because why? What is going to be needed now, more than ever before, is a new mindset, first of all. Hence why we're ensuring that through the transformation of education, that students have the values, the confidence, excellence built in. And then importantly, the skills to be able to navigate that new space and to dominate wherever they go. And when you look at what is happening here at Lester Vaughan, of course, this new lab becomes the 11th secondary school offering beauty skills in the country. But importantly, it is one of only 6 schools offering both cosmetology as well as barbering. And it is also the 5th cosmetology lab delivered through a strategic public-private partnership. And you would have heard the chairman of the board speak to the partnership with Number One Beauty Supply. And I want to congratulate them publicly for that partnership working with this institution so as to build out the capacity of Leicester Vaughan School.
The Ministry of Labour and the Public Service in Bahamas has announced the appointment of Kenrick Knowles Sr. as Executive Chairman of the National Training Agency, ushering in a new phase for workforce development in Bahamas. In a statement issued Sunday, officials highlighted Knowles' 39-year career at the Bahamas Telecommunications Company, where he advanced from trainee technician to senior management and played a key role in expanding national connectivity and infrastructure. The ministry noted that the agency will continue focusing on expanding training opportunities, strengthening workforce readiness, and equipping Bahamians with skills for a competitive modern economy. Now, that sounds wonderful, but I'm just curious. Why do that now when elections is going to be called at any day now? Why now? You know, it's like how PNM decided to appoint certain individuals just before elections. I just find it a little strange. Maybe that's how they do it in Bahamas, but to me, I find it just a little strange. International news now. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt rejected Iranian denials regarding the existence of negotiations. She said, despite false reports, negotiations with Iran continue. Joint forces of the United States and Israel control the skies and have established air superiority over Iran. Leavitt also stated, despite all the public statements coming from the regime and the inaccurate reports, the talks are ongoing and progressing well. What is said publicly is, of course, very different from what is being conveyed to us privately. But thankfully, unlike in the past, the Trump administration isn't pausing the war in Iran in order to have these discussions. They're having the discussions while showing them strength. You know what peace, true strength is? What Israel and America is doing right about now. We will compromise with you, though. We will make a deal with you, but we're not going to stop the campaign in Iran at this point, and the operation in Iran at this point in time. We're going to show you that we are going to continue with this operation unless you come to the agreement. Simple as that. That is what you call peace through strength. Egyptian Member of Parliament Mustafa Bakri said the Houthis need to know that Egypt will not remain silent if there's a threat to its national security, and the Bab al-Mandeb Strait is closed. Egypt has remained silent for a long time despite the losses it has suffered recently. But I do not believe Egypt can remain silent in the face of threats to close the strait. The strait is the economic lifeline of Egypt. Its closure would be a great disaster. Amir Safati, who is a well-known Jewish Christian author and also a writer and also a biblical teacher, he says he's not a pastor, went on to give his opinion there on that issue. Now for the interesting facts segment, South African YouTuber and engineer Luke Maximo Bell has successfully built and flown a drone that can stay airborne for hours using only the power of the sun. Unlike traditional drones that rely on internal batteries, this custom-built quadcopter features a massive array of high-efficiency monocrystalline solar cells that generate enough electricity to keep the motor spinning as long as there is direct sunlight. So if all of a sudden there's cloud cover, what's going to happen? But anyhow, it won't just lose power one time. It just start to lose charge. To achieve this, Bell utilized a lightweight carbon fiber frame and oversized 18-inch propellers to maximize lift while minimizing the energy required to hover.
Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News Travel Adventures. Imagine a place that's basically a city built entirely for fun. That's Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. Spanning nearly 40 square miles, about the size of San Francisco. It's a magical bubble where the outside world of office buildings and chain stores completely disappears. Whether you're a thrill seeker, a foodie, or just looking to see a giant mouse in person, here's how the most magical place on Earth breaks down. Magic Kingdom, the classic experience. Ride Pirates of the Caribbean, meet Mickey, and end your night with fireworks over Cinderella Castle. Epcot, a cultural and futuristic journey. Travel the world in a single afternoon at the World Showcase, then fly over the globe on Soarin'. Hollywood Studios, dive into movies. Live your Star Wars story in Galaxy's Edge or get shrunk down in Toy Story Land. Animal Kingdom, a wild, natural experience. Explore Pandora, the world of Avatar, and experience incredible animal treks. Tips for a magical stay. Use the app. The My Disney Experience app is your best friend for maps, checking ride wait times, ordering food, and using Genie Plus Lightning Lane access to skip lines. Stay on site. Resorts like the Grand Floridian offer early park access, easy transport, monorail/Skyliner, and full immersion in the magic. Don't rush. With so much to do, take time to enjoy the atmosphere, watch the shows, and enjoy character dining. It's not just about the rides. Go early, be there for rope drop opening to enjoy popular rides with shorter lines before the afternoon crowds arrive. Whether it's your first time or your 50th, it's all about creating pixie dust moments. Get a first visit pin, enjoy a Dole Whip, and let yourself get lost in the magic. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.